What's going on, guys? Tyler here, T-Rod Outdoors. We got another video for you today. Today we're going to be going over my rod and reel arsenal for 2021. So I have 7 bait casters that I'm going to be using through 2021, as well as 1 spinning rod. I don't do a whole lot of fishing with my spinning rod. That's why I only have 1 set up. Really, the only thing I use this for is wacky rig and drop shots. But without further ado, we'll get into it. And since I already have this one in my hand, we'll just go ahead and go over this one first. So this is the Lose Mach 1 speed stick. You can see that there, Lose Mach 1. And it has the original Lose Mach 1 spinning reel on it, which is a 6:2-to-1 gear ratio. For spinning reels, I don't really pay attention to the gear ratio, especially when it's a finesse rod. Well, that's what I'm using it for, is a finesse rod like this. So this is a 6'9", medium action with a fast taper on the tip. And this is just what I use. I only use it for wacky rigs and drop shots. So I have a wacky rig tied on right now. I have 20-pound braid to a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. You can see the leader right here. But yeah, that's really the only thing I use this for. I don't use it a whole lot. Only when I'm going finesse or I know it's going to be a tough day, I'll bring this along with me to throw a wacky rig or a drop shot. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a wacky rig instead of a drop shot. I just prefer throwing a wacky rig myself. So, on to the next one. I'm going to do this in no particular order. I'm going to just grab down the line. So, this first one that we have, this is a Lose TP1 speed stick, the Tournament Performance speed stick. This is a 7-foot medium heavy action with a fast taper. And I got that paired with a Lose speed spool, the LFS speed spool on it. And this gear ratio is a 7:5-to-1, so a little faster gear ratio. I currently have a Ogan Squad clickbait tied on. So this is my chatterbait / spinnerbait rod that I use it for. I have 14-pound fluorocarbon on it as well. All my fluorocarbon that I have is pretty much 14 pounds, besides my jig rod, which has 17 pounds, just because I'm flipping heavy cover. So most of it is going to be the 14-pound fluorocarbon, if it's not braid, obviously. I don't have any reels that have mono on them. I just prefer fluorocarbon myself. So yeah, this rod is going to be used strictly for chatterbaits and spinnerbaits this season with that 7:5-to-1 gear ratio reel, the Lose LFS speed spool. Go on to the next one. Up next, we have the Lose Carbon Fire speed stick. I got this one at Dick's Sporting Goods. This is the 7'2" version, medium heavy with a fast taper. And on the bottom here, it says jig and worm. So that's what Lose says that this rod is best to be used for. So I use it just for my Texas rigs. So paired with it, I have the Abu Garcia Black Max with 14-pound fluorocarbon. I like the red accents, how it matched. That's really the only reason I put this reel on this. It is a 6:4-to-1 gear ratio, so a little slower reel, but when I'm fishing a Texas rig, I don't really mind fishing it. I'm fishing it slow regardless, so unless I'm just reeling in to pick up my line, I don't really need a fast gear ratio. So right now I have a 3/0 extra wide gap worm hook with a 3/16 ounce weight, and that's pegged. I normally peg all my weights. I just like to feel the weight on the bottom instead of it sliding up and down the line. It's just personal preference for me. But this Lose Carbon Fire speed stick is nice. It's got a nice wind grip, as most of the Lose that I have do. And then no complaints with this Abu Garcia Black Max. Moving on from that one. Up next, we have a Favorite Fishing Absolute, the AP Bassin Absolute casting rod. I got this one right when it came out, when the Googans said they were partnering and getting their own rods with Favorite, and I don't mind it. I like the rod. It's a good rod. I got the 2-piece version, so this is sometimes my travel rod, but right now, this year, it's going to be set up for all top waters that take braid, because that's what I have on this Abu Garcia Black Max is 30-pound Power Pro braid. So right now I have a buzzbait on it, and I'd also throw anything else that I need to on it besides frogs. I have a different specific rod that's just for frogs. But any other top water that requires braid, I'll throw it on this rod because it's a 7'2". It's medium heavy, and it's a medium fast action is what it says. So yeah, I like this rod, no complaints. If I had to do it again, I would just get the one piece. Not that you can feel it a whole lot, but it would just make things a lot easier if it was just a one piece and I didn't have that in the back of my head that it could come apart. On to the next rod. We have another Lose Speed Stick, and that's paired with a Lose Speed Spool LFS. And this rod is strictly for my swim jigs. I throw a lot of swim jigs, so that's just this rod. I'll always have a swim jig tied on when I'm going fishing. So that's why I just dedicated this whole rod to swim jig fishing. And on that rod, I have a Googan Squad Grass Hero swim jig with the bluegill pattern. But it's got nice cork handles. This is my only Lose reel Lose rod rather that has the cork handles, and I like the cork handles. It gives it a different feel. So this is a 7-foot medium heavy with a fast tip as well. I think all the Lose rods that I own have the fast taper tip, and that's just very sensitive, so you can feel everything in the water as well as bites. But yeah, I like it. No complaints on this. I just picked up this reel to pair with it, a 6/8 to 1 gear ratio, which I have the other one on my chatterbait rod. That's the same exact reel, but that one's the faster gear ratio. So I put it on the chatterbait rod, so if I needed to reel in really quick to make a next cast. I normally fish the swim jig a little slower, so that's why I chose to put the slower gear ratio reel on this rod. But moving on from that one, up next, we have the Googan Squad Gold Series rod. This is the reaction rod, and I have one of their lipless crankbaits on there, the clutch and the ghost gill colored. So this is the Googan Squad Gold rod. This is a 7'2" medium moderate. I just love the look of that logo with the black and the gold. And then for reels, I have the Abu Garcia Pro Max on there. And this is where's the gear ratio? A 7:1 to 1 gear ratio. So it's kind of in the middle on terms of fast and slow for the reels that I own anyway. But I figured for this rod, I'm only going to be throwing lipless crankbaits, square bills, or crankbaits on it. So I figured this reel was a good pick for it, and I like the black and gold accent, so the reel really matches and sets off the rod really nice. Next, this is going to be my frogging rod for this year. It is the Lose Mock Crush Speed Stick. Big, heavy rod. It is a 7'3" heavy with a fast taper. It has 50-pound Power Pro braid on it as well. And this rod has gotten me a lot of fish on frogs last year, so I'm deciding to stick with it this year. And then finally, we got the Googan Squad Green Series rod over here. So this is the muscle rod. So this is a 7'5" heavy rod. This is the Green Series rod. It's got the ruler up the side, like all the other Green Series do. The Gold Series does not have that, only the green. So, and then there you can see it has the muscle symbol. So this is the Googan Squad Green Series muscle rod. I'm only going to be using this for jigs, and maybe if I'm like flipping and pitching like a heavy Texas rig that I need like 1/2 ounce to 1 ounce weight on, then I'll throw it on this rod. But for the most part, I'm going to be putting jigs through this rod. So this is my only reel that is going to have 17-pound fluorocarbon on it. And the reel that I chose for this setup is the Lose Classic Pro Speed Spool. So this is a, where does it say? 7.5 to 1 gear ratio for the reel. So when you can flip out and reel in really fast to get to the next pitch or flip that you're going to do, it's really helpful having those higher gear ratios for a jig rod when you're flipping and pitching, so that way you can pick up that line and get right back in there. So yeah, that's the rod I'm going to go with for this year. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We still have that Shop Carl shipment that needs to come in. It should be here any day, and I'll catch you guys next time.